Imposter syndrome isn't a confidence problem, and it's not a sign that you're actually a fraud, especially if you've got your own business. It's a part of your brain doing its job, a job it learned a long time ago, and it's actually doing it a little bit too well. It's that voice that shows up right before a launch, or right before you put your prices up, or right before you say yes to the stage. You hear, "Who am I to charge this? Or who am I to teach this? Someone's going to find out I don't actually know what I'm doing." Now, you've probably tried to talk yourself out of it. Affirmations, you've given yourself pep talks, you've told yourself to just push through it. And that might work for a day or two. But then you find it comes straight back. And it's usually right before the exact thing that you were trying to do. Now, this isn't coincidental, all right? That voice isn't randomly timed. It's protecting you from something. And once you know what that is, you can actually work with it rather than fighting it every single time it turns up. I want to tell you about a client of mine. She was genuinely brilliant at what she did, right? She'd worked with some really high profile clients. She had real results to back it up. But underneath that, she didn't feel good enough. Her prices were rock bottom for the level that she was actually operating at. In group calls or at group masterminds, she would shrink, she would go quiet, she'd get embarrassed the second any attention landed on her. She couldn't make eye contact if she was speaking up. And the thought of actually speaking up at an event, actually being seen and heard in a room, that completely terrified her. Now, she came to me because she wanted to grow the business and finally charge what she was worth. But when we started looking for where this actually started, it actually had nothing to do with her pricing. It went right back to being a little girl who never quite felt like a priority to her own parents. She'd get dismissed. She'd get shouted at if she said the wrong thing. So somewhere along the way, her brain learned that quiet equals safe. Speaking up gets you hurt. And that wasn't ever a conscious decision that she had made. Right? It's just what worked since she was a child. And it kept working right into her 30s, right? In her business, on camera, in rooms full of people that she was more than qualified to be in front of. Now, since we've worked together, she has raised her prices, right? She's far more visible on social media than she's ever let herself be. She's teaching people in person now, and she recently ran her first masterclass, something that she'd always told herself that she was too terrified to even attempt, right? She told herself that she wasn't the kind of person to do that kind of thing. So here's what's actually happening when we hear that inner voice. Now, in internal founding systems, one of the frameworks that I use in my work, that inner critic voice is what's called a manager part. Now, managers form to keep you safe. And they do that by keeping you small before the world gets the chance to criticize you, reject you, or expose you first. Now, that part is usually formed at the exact same time as the wound it's protecting. All right, somewhere way back. And it doesn't even have to be a big dramatic moment. It can be something as ordinary as being dismissed or criticized as a child, and it never getting resolved. Perhaps you had done a drawing and you went to show your mum, but your mum was busy working and didn't really pay much attention to you. Now, your brain didn't just store the hurt, it also built a guard for it. And most of the time, right, children don't get told directly, "You're not good enough." It's something that the brain concludes on its own. Because when you're small and dependent on the adults around you for survival, it's actually safer for your brain to decide that something's wrong with you than to decide something's wrong with the person that you depend on. If they're the problem, it means that you're not safe. If you're the problem, at least there's something to fix, right? At least you feel that you can work on it. That's why intelligent, capable, high-achieving adults still carry a belief that nobody ever actually said to them out loud. Your brain has just translated it into that. Now here's the neuroscience bit. Now, your brain has a filtering system, right? It's constantly deciding what to let into your awareness out of everything coming at you because it physically can't process it all. So whatever you repeatedly focus your attention on, your brain treats as important and starts noticing more of it. Now, your brain has a filtering system, right? It's known as the Reticular Activating System, and it's constantly deciding what to let into your awareness out of everything coming at you because it can't physically process it all. So whatever you repeatedly focus your attention on, your brain treats as important and starts noticing more of it. It's like when you're looking to get a new car and you want a certain type of car. You will start noticing that car absolutely everywhere you go because you have primed your brain to look for it. So if you have spent years with your manager part of you running the show, and it's been whispering, like, don't be seen, don't be too much, perhaps wait until you're ready. Your brain has been trained to filter for evidence that backs that up. So every hesitation, every thought that maybe I'm not ready yet, that gets logged as proof. Now, the way out of this isn't arguing with that voice or trying to silence it, right? That actually usually just makes it louder because now it thinks it's under threat too. Now, the way that actually works is closer to what happened with her, right? You let the part say what it's actually trying to protect you from without judging it. And then you respond to it the way that you'd respond to, say, a junior team member who's scared or a little child, not an enemy that you're trying to shut down. Right? You show this part evidence that it's safe now. And over time, with repetition, that's what starts to physically shift. The pathway weakens because you're no longer reinforcing it every day. Now, there's a second piece to this. A lot of my clients come to me having tried to fix this at the level of the thought, arguing with the critic, right? Trying to prove it wrong with logic. And it doesn't hold because the belief isn't sitting in the logical part of the brain. It's sitting in the emotional, unconscious part. Now, you can't out-argue a feeling with a fact. What actually works is going underneath the thought to whatever it's attached to, the memory, the moment, the age it first showed up, and updating it there. Right? And that's the difference between managing imposter syndrome for the rest of your life and it actually loosening its grip for good. All right? One means bracing for it every single launch, whereas the other means that the part finally gets to stand down, maybe get given a new role, a more supportive role. So if you're listening to this and recognizing that voice, the one that's been deciding what you're ready for, that's exactly the kind of thing that we work through together. All right, no pitch, just a conversation. The link's below if you want to talk it through.